Howdy doodle strudel, guys. Me back here again. It's been a hot fucking while as usual. Far and few between my videos has been lately, hasn't it? Don't know how long it's been, what, months since I made a video, so I thought it was about time I pulled the old camera out, or the old phone I should say, and start filming something because, well, I haven't been doing nothing. I've had a lot of life going on, a lot of family problems. Not problems, but like, my mum's been sick, big news, I'm going to be a dad. I've got a little girl on the way. So, there's all that joy. Just a lot of stuff in general going on, mental health. I'm not going to go into it too much. This is my YouTube channel, but I'm starting to come back again, and I'm starting to do some projects and get things rolling. So there's going to be some small stuff happening around here. My property, as per usual, because it's been a bit of a standstill for quite a while. But yeah, and I was going to say another, but yeah, anyway, but so I'm going to be starting on a project today, one of many as usual. I've always got projects on the go. Ute's still on the go, but as usual, that's still a while away. If you're anyway, my long-term viewers might remember a little electric pocket bike that I made, and I made a prototype of and tested. Well, I've further expanded on that, and I've actually been testing it. It's pretty much, well, it's a working, functioning, schmicko looking little pocket bike now, except for this small little problem of I burnt the motor out. So I'm not sure if it was a faulty motor or if it was something I've done wrong, but we're going to investigate that. But once I've got that working, I'll be making a video of that, just going over it and how I made it, and giving it a test run and all that kind of stuff. Unfortunately, I should have made a video series of me actually building it, but it's one of those things if I just want to get stuck in and do it. Sometimes when I just want to get stuck in, I just get stuck in, and when I have to film things, it slows me down. But I thought this one would be a good one to film because I've been wanting to do this project for a long time, and I actually started doing it a long time ago, but I made a bit of a half-assed attempt at it, and I was never happy with it. So I've just put it to the side until I can afford to actually do it properly and have a proper brain idea of how to do things right. And I had a epiphany this not too long ago of how to make it really good, and I decided to buy some parts and do it. So we'll go over that right now, and I'll show you that because not quite yet. We'll tell you a story because the reason I'm building it, actually no, fuck that. We won't ramble on about that too much now. We'll show you what I'm doing, and then I'll ramble on a bit later on if you want to hear me more. So we'll get moving. I'll show you the mower I'm using and all the parts that's gone into it. So let's get to that now. Okay, so this is probably about 90% of the parts I'll be using on the mower. So as you can see, this is the mower here. It's it was a Honda perpetual mower at first, and it actually was a self-propelled mower, because that's another thing I didn't mention before. Is this is not only going to be an electric lawnmower, but it's going to be a self-propelled electric lawnmower. So you can see here, this is my last attempt at the prototype. So obviously I just threw it together like with wood because I was making a prototype, but I had this is I think it was 1800 watt 48 volt motor I mounted here, and there's a controller, and I was going to have just a little thumb throttle, and I literally just reused, if I can flip it up, I literally just reused all the existing parts. So I just bolted back on the part with the little pulley. If you can see it, I don't know if you can see it down there. I'm trying with the light, probably not. But anyway, there's like a pulley, and you can see it has a belt that goes to a little differential on these back wheels. And when you pull this lever, basically got to pull that one, and you got to pull that one. It engages that belt, and then it starts driving forward. Worked all right, but I remember it being a bit of a pain in the ass because, as per usual, the belts, you get clogged up with grass, and the belt wouldn't always want to engage properly, or the cable would get stretched, or it would start to come loose and wouldn't work. So that was when it was petrol, but So I didn't really want to do that again, but I couldn't think of anything other at the time. Couldn't think of another way to do it. So I just thought, oh well, we'll mimic it with electric. But I never really finished it because I was never really happy with how it looked and how it was, and I didn't think that motor I had there, and like I was pretty doubtful it was going to be powerful enough to do the job. Just judging off the ratings of the motor and it being just a little, it'd be good for a bicycle or a little, maybe even a little motorbike, but that's about it. And it wouldn't be very fast. So what I think to do this time is go a completely different route, because basically on the market there's actually quite a lot of choice now with electric lawnmowers, and I've looked into a lot of them because I've got my electric ride-on lawnmower, which is a Ryobi, but I wanted to get an electric push mower as well, because there's obviously certain parts where you can't get the ride-on, and it's good as to have an electric one. But I don't know, I struggle to justify the price they charge for them, for the performance you get out of them. Like I haven't used anyone. I've used one. I've owned one. It was a little Ryobi one, and you know, give credit where credit's due. It wasn't a very high model. It was meant to be just a low end electric one, meant to be for just, you know, just basically just short grass. And I didn't use it for that, and it didn't do very well. And it was just a bit lackluster and plasticky, and yeah. And even your better ones, you can get some good ones now, but they're just so expensive, and you're still using batteries that are going to wear out in about 15-20 minutes tops, you know. So I was trying to think of a way to make it, make a mower where the batteries hopefully last a bit longer, two, have it just as powerful, if not more hopefully powerful, than a petrol mower, because I hate the idea. Because one thing I will say about my electric ride-on is it's a brilliant mower, I really love it, but you do just have that little bit of lackluster with the blades and with the blade motors. They just sometimes, like, they do pretty good, but sometimes through the thicker stuff, it's like, I know it's thicker stuff and you shouldn't get going through it, but it's like, you know, sometimes you need to slog through it, and they just don't quite have the chop there. It's a great mower overall, it does a great job, but I'm, yeah, just nitpicking really. And it's the same thing as electric push mowers. They're usually pretty good, but all the reviews I watch is they're just not quite that enough little oomph there. So I thought, how do I overcome that? And I thought the only way I overcome that is by using a more powerful motor, but you're limited then by how many batteries you can have on board. Because yeah, sure, you can put like a 72 volt motor or something there and it'll do the job great, but you got to have a lot of batteries on there. Even if you're using a lithium battery, it's like a lot. You could do it quite easily, but it'd be low amperage, and you have the problem of it wearing out soon. So I'll show you I'll stop rambling now, because my system is, long story short, going to be a 24 volt system. So it only requires either 2 lead batteries if you want to go the cheap option, or you could quite easily get a 24 volt lithium battery, which I will eventually be having on it. But as a prototype, because I've got them laying around, I'm not even using lead just to get it tested, which will make it very heavy. But my idea is it's a self-propelled lawnmower anyway, so it's not like I've got to push it, it drives, so you just got to walk behind it. So if there's a bit of weight on it, whoop-de-doo, who cares? So let's show you what I'm going to do and what I've got. Okay, so basically my idea is to use an actual AC motor. So your normal 240 volt motor that you'd usually use to power like industrial equipment. This motor here is a 2.2 kilowatt motor, which is about equivalent to, I think it's about equivalent to a 9 or a 10 horsepower petrol motor, which is quite a very powerful lawnmower if you were to buy it. That would be up in the, you know, high, nearly $1,000, over $1,000 range of push mowers if you had that. And that's just for a push mower, not a self-propelled one. So this is a really good subtle motor. This one is usually used to power big big air compressors is what it's actually made for. But it runs at 28,000 RPM, so nice and quick, which is about a similar RPM to what you want an engine to be running, so the blades aren't going to be moving too slow, because you can get metric motors and they only go 1500, which is a little bit too slow, because even if they got the torque there, you want that speed to cut the grass. So this is a 28,000 RPM motor, which is great. 2.2 kilowatts, which is plenty of power that I need. And best thing is, technically speaking, I could run this motor off a 12 volt inverter if I wanted to, but I'm not going to, because I want the 24 volt motors to run the back wheels. So yeah, but anyway, this is going to be running off a 24 volt inverter, which I have right here. So this inverter is actually overrated. It's a 3,500 watt, which is what you want to do, because basically you're better off having a little bit more oomph in the inverter if you can, because if you get a surge or a hit, it'll sometimes surge a bit more power than the 2.2 kilowatts. So this is actually 35,000 watt is 3.5 kilowatts. So that is more than enough power to power this motor here. And the inverter just runs off to lead acid batteries, or you can run it off a 24 volt lithium battery. It doesn't matter. Only run off 2 lead acid batteries, and these lead acid batteries are 75 amp hours each. They're actually out of my Roby ride-on because I had to get them changed. Yeah, so they're a little bit flogged, these batteries. That they still hold charge and they still work. But the reason they came out of my lawnmower is because, well, they weren't holding charge long enough. I wasn't getting as much range out of the mower, so under warranty, Roby replaced them for me, along with a couple other things in the mower, which I'll go on about in another video, which was, yeah, an ordeal. I'm also going to be upgrading the tyres from these dinky plastic ones, which I don't know why they keep putting on lawnmowers, even expensive ones, to these not these ones particularly, because these are flat flogged. These ones, as you can see, it's got that ripped out, and this one's missing the bit in the middle. But these are the sort of tires I'll be using, but brand new ones. So they will be mounted here, obviously on all the parts where the wheels go. And then what I'm going to do to make it self-propelled is I've got 2 24 volt motors. They're both wattage. I can't remember what watts they were. I think they were 250 watt. So not a huge amount of power, but plenty of power to move this lawnmower along. So obviously all of this shit's getting taken off, all of this, these motors, this timber and crap. It will just basically sit there's a mock-up. So what that's going to do is, there's going to be a motor each side like this, which is then going to have a chain, and that chain is then going to run to each individual wheel. So basically then all you have up here on your handle is little thumb throttles. So obviously to go forward, you pull both thumbs down, and that drives the motor forward. If you want to go right, you pull the left thumb down, let the right thumb off, and that'll make it turn that way. And then same vice versa, kind of like a skid steer, or in your bobcat, it's sort of steering. You use it you move one wheel, and that will just assist you in moving the lawnmower that way. Because that was another thing I found with these mowers. When it was petrols, because it's just a differential, you still got to try and turn a really big heavy mower, because they're quite big, this mower. It's not a standard size mower. I can't know what size the deck is, but it's a big deck on it. So it had a big motor on it, so it was quite, even with the self-propulsion, it was quite a heavy thing to turn. So having a motor on each wheel allows you to turn them mower a lot easier. So there's that, and those motors don't run off the inverter because they're actually just DC motors. So they will be connected just straight to the 24 volt battery, or the 2 lead acid battery, the 24 volt battery, and they will run off their own controllers. There's controllers somewhere in here. Yep, there's the controllers. So they're in their boxes there. That's to control the speed, so you'll be able to go faster or slower, like you can get the pace right. Because obviously the idea of a self-propelled mower is to just be able to walk behind it. You don't really want to have it dragging you along. But these motors and the controllers I've got to run them should be able to have this mower go at a nice steady pace. Just a nice steady walking pace, hopefully. Don't have to run. So what we got in here? Okay, so that's one of my thumb throttles there. So we'll get them out later. You'll see when I start locking together. I've also got a voltmeter. So there'll be a little up here. What I'm going to do is there's going to be a little panel here, and I have obviously the thumb, so there'll be a little panel here, and it's going to have the voltmeter, and it's also going to have the key switch to turn the whole mower on, and just any other controls I might need to put up here. So that's the general gist of what is being done. I think I've gone over everything. I've got to do a bit of body repair work to this mower. Like, I'm using it because it's what I've got, and it's a good size mower, but there is a few holes here. So what I'm going to do is try and clean the rust up best I can, put some plate behind it, tack it in place with some welder, and then just bog those over, just like you'd repair a car. It's just a mower at the end of the day, but that would just stop any shit getting thrown out when I'm mowing. Because that's the only spot that's got some rust holes. Everywhere else is pretty good. And one other thing I'm going to do is as you can see, because it's got the differential, that's all coming out. It's got this sort of channely bit here that sort of like blocks the grass growing, because that's protect the diff, which won't be needed anymore. So I'll cut probably that, well actually I'll probably cut it from that seam there, cut it there, and then cut that out. That way it'll allow the grass to freely just jump out, because it used to always get clogged up around here because the grass had nowhere to go. So I'll fix that flaw in its design. And I'm also going to put just a single long blade on here, not this big disc thing, because I don't really like it. I just want to put a nice lightweight single blade on there. I think that'll be a lot better, unless I get stuck and use that. We'll see how it go, but because I've got to get a coupling made for this motor, so there's going to be a coupling that's going to go over that, and it's going to have like a plate so I can bolt the blade to that plate. So yeah, there's going to be a bit of interesting stuff in this conversion, but it's all going to be done properly, and I'm going to do it as professionally as I can and make it look as good as I can for what it is. Like, it's not going to look super pretty just because it's got to have big lead batteries on it, and the body is not designed to put these components on. It's just designed to have an engine sit there. So yeah, but I want to make the prototype of this, get it working. And if it's working well, then I might look at making a second prototype where I might fabricate my own actual custom mower body and, you know, do it again. But we'll take it one step at a time. So first off is we've got to get this stripped down again, and then trying to start mocking up where some of these parts are going to go. So I'll get on to that now. Okay, so we've got it mostly stripped down now. As you can see, I've got my pile of bits that I took off. Not throwing this stuff out, obviously, because this motor here is still good. It's still a good motor and controller. I can go on another project some other time. But yeah, you can see there's the pulley that I had for the belt. Yeah, it just bolted onto that blade, and it's all just a sequence of shit. But yeah, anyway, so I've got it this far. This first little dilemma I've encountered is, well, I want to change these wheels, obviously, like I said, but if I change these wheels, I'm going to have to take off all of this stuff to make it rise up and down, which I was trying to avoid if I could. But then I was thinking about it, and if these back wheels are going to be chain driven anyway, then that could be an issue, because the chain would tension and loosen, which could make it come off. So I'd have to have some tensioners on there, obviously, or I could make it so the wheels are in a set position and it's actually the motor itself with the blade on it can lower up and down. I'm thinking I might do so. Yeah, I'm thinking I might do that option, because it makes it a lot easier to just run all my stuff in chains and drivetrain with the wheels in a set position, and it's not that hard to make the motor be able to go on a slide, because as you can see with the motor, it's horizontal at the moment, and where it mounts is usually horizontal, so when it goes up, I won't put it on, it's like shaft obviously, so we'll turn it this way, so when it gets mounted, it's going to have a back plate anyway to mount it, so that back plate can have adjustable holes, so you can slide. Some way of having this motor be able to slide up and down and tighten it so you can adjust the blade that way is how I'm thinking of doing it. So we'll tinker around with that. So yeah, I'll have to pull off all of this shit here next, I think. And I've also decided I might later on do it, but because this is a prototype, I'm not going to stress too much about these holes, because part of the body itself is actually, it's going to hold together. It'll be all right. Because like I said, if this works, I'll probably end up building a new one with a custom body anyway. So there's no point trying to restore this old thing if I'm just going to pull it apart again. But yeah, so I'll stop rambling again. And oh, something else I forgot to mention. Just another perk that is part of the reason why, sorry, I'll just turn that back on this thing, why I'm running this off 240 volt through an inverter as opposed to making everything DC and having more batteries, is also because what's another issue you have in the yard you don't just use a lawnmower. I want to have other tools I can use. And the problem is I don't like going petrol because, you know, I just don't like petrol things. It's bad for the environment, and I have terrible luck with petrol items like this. They just never work. I always have like little gremlins and shit that happen to me, just weird problems. They're forever giving me grief. So I kind of hate them, which is why I go everything electric if I can. But even electric stuff I build has problems. So everything's anyway. I'm rambling again. Anyway, um, one thing I'd have noticed is you can get some really powerful, good quality electric tools that are plug-in, like they plug into your wall socket, you know. And the only reason that they become an issue is because, well, they're inconvenient because you've got to run an extension lead, and if you can't run an extension lead long enough to where you want to use them, well, then they're useless, aren't they? And you can buy battery equipment now, and battery equipment is getting quite good, as you would see with my Makita chainsaw review. But you have the issue still of you chew through batteries rather quickly, and they just have quite that oomph that the petrol ones do still. They're always quite that little bit, a little bit lacking. So I thought, by doing this through an inverter, because when you run an inverter, I know from running my own house or caravan or whatever, that it's just, as long as you're using the right wattage, there's no dip in power, it will power it. So that motor being run by that inverter, if I was to try and run that motor, that same size motor, through it, if it was just a normal DC setup, or a induction motor, even through for your normal controller, it would need to be at least a 48-volt system, which would mean there has to be 4 lead batteries or just a big expensive lithium battery, and it just increases costs. So I'm trying to figure out a way to do things cheaper whilst making it um, powerful. But by running it through an inverter, it opens the door to you to be able to run other equipment off the mower that is then cheaper. So rather than having to buy an expensive battery whippersnip, an expensive battery chainsaw, an expensive battery leaf blower, expensive battery whatever else you want to use, and then having on top of that buy all the batteries, so your batteries are swapping in and out, so you can keep things going more than 15 minutes at a time and having to wait a half an hour for the charge. So it can become very expensive very quickly. But by having this, because of the size batteries this lawnmower can actually take, it doesn't only work as a lawnmower. You can also plug all your normal plug-in tools, which you can pick up really cheap, some really good quality ones. You just gotta, well, not even push, you just gotta like pull the levers and have your mower drive forward to wherever you want to go. Just drive it to wherever you want to go, park it at an appropriate distance, plug your tool into the lawnmower, and away you go. And you're gonna have, powerful electric equipment with the convenience of portability due to the lawnmower. So I'm really excited to actually do this project, not only just to show you guys what you can build, but I wouldn't mind doing this is like on the side. I'm getting ahead of myself, but if this turns out to be reliable and I can make it to a professional standard, I might even, produce a few of them. But my main goal is to get something reliable and working for myself, and to show you guys how you can do it. And I'll actually keep track of all the pricing for everything I paid for this, so that way you have a genuine idea of how much it's going to cost to build your own electric lawnmower, as opposed to a store-bought like brand name lawnmower. So it'll be interesting to see how much it costs me to do this, the performance I get out of it, as opposed to the same price unit bought in a store, and the performance you get out of that. I'm really excited to see what kind of difference there is. So this will be interesting one to follow for you, and an interesting one for me to do as well. So yeah, anyway, I'm rambling again as I always do, but let's get to the next step, which is taking off those back wheels and cutting a section of the lawnmower out. So we'll get to that. The scrap pile has built. So there's the back wheels off. Next part we're going to do is, like I said before, cut this section here out and that section out there to allow the grass to freely flow at the back better. And I might even put some plate metal here and bolt it in, just to strengthen these side walls for the new wheels, because it's pretty flimsy and also a bit rusty. Well, it's not too rusty here, but it's just, I'd rather reinforce it if I can. And yeah, so we'll get cracking to that, and then you'll see my handsomely devilish face again. See you in a bit. And here I back him again, speaking in retarded words, and also showing you what I've done. This. So I've cut out all that bullshit, so we've got a nice open hole here for the grass to spin around, spit out the back, all nice and good. So yeah, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do next, but you'll see in a flash. That's the magic of film and editing, so see you in a flash. Okay, so I've done a little toying around with the layout of all the parts in the mower, and I think I found a layout I'm pretty happy with, and looks quite neat, and would be, I think I've worked out how I can make all the brackets and bits and bobs to make it all work, so I'll let you have a look at that right now. So yeah, this monstrosity is basically what I'm thinking. So here's our big fuck off motor in the middle. Then we can have the 2 lead batteries mounted each side. So obviously there'll be a cable connected between them. La-di-da. Have our 2 drive motors, so there'll be a plate of some sort going across here to align these drive motors properly, so they can have, if I can just get myself positioned, have a chain go from, you know, the motor to the wheel. So the way I'm going to do that, as you can see, when I get some proper new ones of these tires, I've got my sprockets. I've just got to drill some holes in these rims and put some metal tubing just to space out the cog from the wheel, and then that will have bolts that go through that tubing and through the sprocket, and that'll fasten the sprocket to the wheel, so then we can have a chain go around and then spin these wheels, because these wheels will just be bolted through independently. There won't be a long shaft joining the 2 of them. That's why I'm reinforcing the side walls here of the mower with like thick plates, so it can handle the stress. And yeah, basically there'll be just a bit of a rod come through here with some that's been threaded. That'll just be bolted onto there with the, you know, nut and washer like normal. The spacey here obviously, so it's not against there. And then yeah, to have the chain stay up, you stupid thing. Have the chain go to it here. So yeah, so there'll be, and then there's, so basically you're gonna have a bracket up the top here to hold these 2 motors. Got to make 2 plates to bolt down to the side of the mower here to sit these batteries on with, you know, clamps to hold them down. There will be probably the bracket I make for these motors will also have a backing plate reinforced onto it to bolt to these mounts on the motor. And like I said before, they'll be cut out so this motor can be slid up and down, and I'll leave this part here as open as I can, so it'll probably end up being the little pull out and pull in levers like that. I don't know what they're called, but you see them on, like, you know, fold up scooters or anything that folds up. Basically I'll put little clamps that you pull out the hold the motor position, pull them down, and you just slide the motor up or down to, and I'll have little notches I'll put on there so you can see how hot, you know, exactly where to put it, and then you just slide it to where it needs to be, and then just clamp it back up again. And that's the solution I've thought of for adjusting the blades. Same thing here, I'll make a little bracket, so there'll be obviously the battery plates that hold the batteries in. They'll have metal that comes up here and a bar across here to bolt this inverter to, because this is an inverter that'll power the main motor. And then having the inverter like that also gives you easy access to the plugs on the side, and you can see all the readouts nice and easy on the inverter too. Probably on my future version all of this crap will be hidden, and that'll just be normal power points and that, but you know, this will work, it'll be functional. I like it, I don't mind this so far. So yeah, that's how everything's going to go on it, I think. And then obviously, yeah, have the cables run up here to the 2 thumb triggers up here. It'll have I'll put a little plate here, just with the little heads up display, the key, any buttons or gizmos you need on it. And yeah, you can see it's already sort of looks like something. So fingers crossed, this project goes pretty smoothly and we get good results out of it. Okie dokie, so I think I've got most of my brackets and shit all mocked up now. Unfortunately, my bloody generator's out of petrol, so I've got to go get some petrol so I can weld the brackets together. But I'll show you them all, you know, mocked up. They're not welded or anything, but you'll be able to see how it's all going to go together and how everything's going to be braced and bolted into place. So I'll show you that now. Okay, so basically we're going to have this bit of flat bar is going to be bolted down here along the back, and these these tabs, one each side, is going to be welded in place like that. And what that is for is so the wheel motors can be bolted down there like so. So there'll be one of those just sitting in place. So it's not going to be perfect. One of those each side like that. And as for this big bertha here, I'll just get these motors out of the way so you can see. So basically it starts off with this. There's going to be this plate here, bolted, same thing like this one, bolted down to the deck. And then I've got this SHS here. So it will be welded to this bottom plate, and then there'll be bolts going straight through to the other side. For now, it's not going to be adjustable. This is its prototype, but you know, basically, I could put elongated holes, you know, here, so you could loosen the nuts off, like I said, to raise the motor up and down. But for now, it's just going to be a set blade position, so it'll be just bolted to that with those there. And then once they're both in place, where's the other one gone? So they go like that. We're then going to have that welded across there like that. So I can then put, if I can get my hand out of the way so you can actually see. So again, that would be welded to the bottom plate there and welded to the plate there. So it's an angle brace just to keep that motor nice and steady when it's going and cutting grass. So that's how the motor's going to be fixed. As for the batteries, I've just got 2 bits of plywood cut to size, and obviously they're going to have aluminium surrounds, you know, like angle around to hold the battery in there. And then there's going to be threaded rod underneath through each side, going either side of the battery, so you can then have another bar like this go on top of the battery with the threaded rod going through it, and then you'll just tighten those nuts down there to keep the batteries down there secure. And then as for the inverter, I'm going to get some big right angle brackets, so they'll be bolted underneath this, the right angle, and they'll come up with just a thin strip up there and a thin strip up there. And what they will be for is to mount these tabs too, because that's how the inverter gets mounted. It gets mounted each side, so it can be put like that at the front, and yeah, it'll just have the bracket will be underneath, so the bracket will be coming from underneath, and then it'll come up and you just bolt it to that like that, and that will be the lawnmower, how it gets put together. So go get some fuel for the generator so I can start welding those brackets together and bolting things on. So I'll see you back in a bit. Righto, so we've got all those brackets welded together, so they're all nice and secure. Only one part I didn't weld is here. That's going to be put together with a bolt. So we've got this bracket here, which obviously just put there and then bolted down to the body. Same with this one, it gets bolted down to the body and then bolted to the motor. And then obviously have one of those each side, and then yeah, your batteries, and yeah, so it's starting to piece together. So pieced together quite nicely, actually. I'm quite happy with it. But we might leave it at that for this video, just because it's probably getting a bit long now. But obviously I'll keep you updated on this build as I go along, and I got all the parts here, so it shouldn't be one of those builds where I do one video and then it's like a year later nothing ever happens. This one it's gonna happen, so I'm actually off to get some parts now. So yeah, I'll show you the next video. Hopefully I have some all done. I might even be able to give it a test run in the next video. We'll see how we go, eh? But if you've been watching this far, I really thank you for watching. Appreciate it. And I've been on hiatus for a long time, so yeah, try and get back in the swing of things if I can. But yeah, like and subscribe, share the video around, all that good stuff. And I'll catch you in the next one, eh? Bye.